And here's a look at what you can expect for today when it decides to load. There it is. All right, so mostly sunny skies today. We are seeing some fog this morning. Temperatures do climb into the low to mid 80s later on this afternoon. Not too windy. It will be quite humid. It will be sticky if you're venturing outside. We got a lot of rain this past weekend. Most of us receiving at least an inch and some of us several. 7-day forecast, a little bit stormy and hot Tuesday, Wednesday before drier, sunny weather for the second half of the week.
Thank you, Sean. It's 4:58. Here's a live look over Rochester. We'll be right back. I'm so stuffy.
This morning on Daybreak, with the push to get more people vaccinated, a local college is starting a vaccination clinic open to the public. How organizers hope this can slow the spread.
And lawmakers in D.C. get closer to reaching a deal to pass the $1 trillion infrastructure bill. How much money Minnesota would get and for what if passed.
And after a stormy weekend, I'm taking a look at the rain we saw, and I'm also tracking where the storms are this week.
KIMT News 3, coverage you can count on. This is KIMT News 3's Daybreak, live from our Rochester studio.
Good morning to you. I'm Tyler Utska.
And I'm Brooke McKivergan. Thank you so much for watching KIMT News 3's Daybreak.
It is Monday, August 9th today. The time now is 5 o'clock. Did you enjoy yourself this weekend?
I did. I had a great weekend. It was beautiful outside.
Yeah, we both went golfing.
Yeah.
We had wonderful weather here in Rochester. It rained a lot, and Sean is actually tracking some more of that and also a good amount of fog this morning.
Yeah.
Yes, we got some fog in some spots. The rain is pretty much done for today, but we'll see some more chances Tuesday and Wednesday. Right now, look over Highway 52 in Rochester. Not seeing the fog as much towards the Med City. Visibility around 8 miles according to our computer. 67 degrees, and it is quite humid. It will be quite humid today. But we take a look at some of our other live eyes. Here's Austin. Looks pretty foggy. We take a look at Mason City right here. You can barely see anything. It's 69 degrees right there. It's just totally blurred up. So temperatures right now in the 60s. Most of the fog this morning is held along that I-35 corridor. So if you're near Mason City, Albert Lee, Owatonna, Austin, Forest City, you're seeing some of that this morning. You're probably seeing it through the next several hours. The other thing I'm tracking is as those storms rolled through overnight, we have a flash flood warning in effect for the next hour in parts of Floyd County, south of Charles City, east of Marble Rock. A lot of rain fell there, around 6 inches, maybe even more in some spots. I'm talking about rain and more rain coming up.
Thank you, Sean. COVID cases and hospitalizations continue to surge across the country. Despite half of Americans being fully vaccinated, the U.S. is now reporting an average 100,000 infections every day. That's up from 11,000 in late June. Pediatric cases are also soaring as more students head back to the classroom.
Happening today, Rochester Community and Technical College, RCTC, is hosting a COVID-19 vaccine clinic.
And KIMT News 3's Madeline Watkins walks us through how it's going to work.
Registration has already closed for this specific COVID-19 vaccination clinic hosted by RCTC, but several people signed up for it and they're getting their shot today, and they're hoping their decision inspires you to get yours if you haven't already. With Olmsted County sitting in a substantial risk for the spread of COVID-19, The school wanted to do its part in helping reverse that dial. That's why this clinic was opened up to the general public. Nate Stoltman with RCTC tells me even though the community transmission does not fall back on the campus, they're taking every precaution they can before fall semester begins.
The important thing here, especially for folks on athletic teams and others in the community, is, between vaccines and masks, that's what's really going to allow us to continue to operate in as normal a situation as we can. Right now, we aren't extending any more restrictions in terms of social distancing or changing course delivery formats.
But Stoltman says that face masks will be required here on campus, so make sure you're coming prepared. In Rochester, Madeline Watkins, KIMT News 3.
Classes for fall semester at RCTC start exactly 2 weeks from today. If you have yet to enroll, you have until the end of the day today.
Mayo Clinic doctors are setting the record straight when it comes to getting COVID-19 when you're fully vaccinated. Dr. John Ahoro says it is possible and not surprising. However, he says unless you are immunocompromised or have conditions where the vaccination doesn't really take, your risk of having a severe infection that lands you in the hospital is far, far lower when you do get vaccinated.
We know that some people who are vaccinated do have the ability to have high levels of virus in their nose and in their throat, even if they don't have symptoms. This isn't a surprise.
He says many different types of vaccines prevent illness, but don't necessarily prevent you from being able to transmit that illness to others.
Like many industries, the seafood industry is currently facing a labor shortage, so you might see that shortage reflected on your bill when ordering seafood at local restaurants. The general manager of Old Brick House in Rochester says because of the supply chain issues, the restaurant has to increase the price of seafood by about $1. Nationally, seafood prices have risen 2.5% since last year. We're told there isn't enough supply to meet the demand restaurants, including his, are experiencing. Because of this, his restaurant is spending 4% more on seafood.
As we work through the end of COVID and supply chain issues, we hope that those are very short interruptions and that they do not make a huge impact on people's dining out or their enjoyability of the meal.
He says he is hoping to keep the restaurant's seafood items at their current price and not have to raise them again. The U.S. imports up to 85% of seafood we eat, but slowdowns in international trade are also putting pressure on the industry.
Lawmakers are closing in on a bipartisan infrastructure deal. The Senate will reconvene this afternoon after voting last night to end debate on the infrastructure deal.
It's the final hurdle to passing the bill before it moves on to the House. Britt Conway has a look at what's next.
Compromise on Capitol Hill. Progress for the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act.
Better roads and bridges, better ports and airports, a better future for our economy.
Among other things like technology, climate-related measures, manufacturing, research and development.
We are within days, possibly within hours, of seeing this historic legislation.
In an unusual weekend of Senate action, lawmakers took up the massive $1.2 trillion bill. And by Sunday night, they voted 68-29 to end debate on the package. Democrats needed at least 10 Republican votes. They got 18 from these states. Today, there will be floor speeches on the deal, with the final Senate vote expected early Tuesday morning. Then the Senate will shift their attention to the $3.5 million budget resolution. It's the second part of this two-track budget reconciliation package to advance the White House's sweeping economic agenda. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says the House won't take up the bill until that part is done.
To build not only the physical infrastructure, but the personal infrastructure.
A recent poll from Quinnipiac University shows 65% of people support an infrastructure bill. But even with support from Americans, the bill faces an uncertain future in the House, which won't be back in session until September. I'm Britt Conway reporting.
And according to the White House, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act would give Minnesota $4.5 billion for highways and $302 million for bridge replacement if passed.
Still ahead, the latest on the investigation into a small plane crash that killed 3 people near the Twin Cities.
And another woman speaks out saying she was assaulted by New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, and more people are pressuring him to resign.
And here's a live look right now over Highway 52 in Rochester. I'm tracking some fog in some spots and a lot of rain we received over the weekend.
You're watching KIMT News 3 Daybreak, live from our Rochester studio. News with Tyler Yutzka and Brooke McKibbergan. Tracking storms with Storm Team 3 meteorologist Sean McAday, who has your accurate local forecast every 10 minutes. This is KIMT News 3, local news from your community. We are coverage you can count on.
As the New York State Assembly plans to meet today to discuss its impeachment investigation into Governor Andrew Cuomo, a former executive assistant to the governor says he needs to be held accountable for allegedly sexually harassing her as well as 10 other women.
She spoke exclusively with CBS this morning and the Albany Times Union for her first public comment since filing a criminal complaint against Cuomo. Elise Preston reports.
He groped me. He touched me.
In an exclusive interview with CBS This Morning and the Times Union, Brittany Commisso detailed the harassment she says she was subjected to at the hands of New York Governor Andrew Cuomo in 2019 and 2020.
They started to be hugs with kisses on the cheek, and then there was at one point a hug, and then when he went to go kiss me on the cheek, he quickly turned his head and he kissed me on the lips.
Commisso, who was previously identified as Executive Assistant Number 1, is among 11 women an independent investigation found to have been sexually harassed by the governor. On Friday, she filed a criminal complaint against the governor with the Albany Sheriff's Office, which could lead to criminal charges.
The governor needs to be held accountable.
And just so I'm clear again, being held accountable to you means seeing the governor charged with a crime.
What he did to me was a crime. He broke the law.
Appearing on CNN over the weekend, the governor's attorney pushed back against Commisso's claims.
He did not grope her, and there was evidence that was provided by several individuals to the Attorney General about potential motives for her to have made that claim.
On Sunday, Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson joined the chorus demanding Cuomo resign.
No woman should have to go to the workplace and have to choose between a paycheck and being assaulted.
Governor Cuomo denies all accusations of sexual harassment or unwanted advances and says he will not step down. The New York State Assembly is expected to finish an impeachment inquiry against him later this week. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
And you can see more of Jericka Duncan's interview with Brittany Commisso later today on CBS This Morning. Late Sunday, Governor Cuomo's secretary Melissa DeRosa resigned. The now former top-ranked unelected official in New York State government told CBS News in a statement, quote, "The past 2 years have been emotionally and mentally trying."
The city of Chicago is mourning after a police officer was shot and killed on Saturday during a routine traffic stop. 29-year-old Ella French, who you see here, was a new mother and 3-year veteran of the force. Her partner was seriously wounded.
We're following the latest on a small plane crash near Minneapolis that killed 3 people on Saturday. The plane crashed into a home in Victoria, which is about a half-hour southwest of Minneapolis. A family member identified the victims as 42-year-old Jacob Murtis and his 37-year-old wife Sarah of Montana. 72-year-old Dr. James Edney was the pilot. He was a surgeon from Omaha, Nebraska, and was also Jacob's stepfather. An investigator with the NTSB says it's too early to know what went wrong.
The pilot contacted the control tower, then made several heading changes and altitude deviations from a normal stable flight path while on final. The last transmission was about 10 miles from the airport, and radar contact was lost once again at about 5:40 Central Daylight Time.
And according to air traffic control data, a preliminary review indicates that plane had a more than 5,000 feet per minute descent rate at the time of the crash. The NTSB is still investigating.
Still ahead, if you enjoy getting your exercise in outdoors, Olmsted County might just have the place for you.
And if you're looking to beat the heat, we have a hideaway for you that's right in Rochester.
And I'm tracking rain, more that we could see this week. It doesn't look like nearly as much as what we saw this past weekend. I'm also tracking when's a good time to get outside.
Good morning. Happy Monday. It's 5:17.
Sean is tracking rain that fell in North Iowa. Sean, how much fell?
We are seeing some crazy amounts. We had a lot of rain in some spots over the weekend. La Crosse saw its wettest day, not of any summer day, wettest day ever, near 6 inches in La Crosse on Saturday. Charles City and just south of Charles City, Floyd County, a flash flood warning in effect for the next hour south of Charles City, east of Marble Rock, because we saw similar amounts. We're going to take some random stuff, and this is, again, radar estimated, but it shows some upwards of 8 inches in the southeastern part of Floyd County. This is Chickasaw County near New Hampton. Charles City, you go take a look kind of close to that area. It says average 2.8, so you get the idea. We saw a lot of rain generally within this region. That's where we still have that flash flood warning in effect. South of Charles City, east of Marble Rock and Floyd County, also towards New Hampton in Chickasaw County. There have been reports of flooding, and over the next hour you still need to be aware we could see those rivers continue to rise, or if you're in a low-lying area, the water moving towards there. Elsewhere, those storms have moved out, and now things are looking pretty clear for the rest of the day. We're not going to see any more rain until at the earliest late tonight and tomorrow. The day is looking clear, mostly sunny. Temperatures right now in the mid to upper 60s, but I know the sun hasn't risen yet, but you're not going to see it in some spots immediately because of fog. Look at this fog. It's along the I-35 corridor between Mason City, Owatonna, Albert Lea, Forest City, Austin. Some of it is pretty thick. Here's some of our live eyes in the sky. Not so much in Rochester. Austin, yeah, that's some fog. Albert Lea, it's a little bit hazy. Mason City, I know it just the live eye just cut out there, but a lot of fog in Mason City as well. So this morning, you can expect fog, especially if you're kind of near that I-35 corridor. It doesn't look like it's in Rochester yet. It could start to expand into Rochester. Keep this in mind while you are driving. As the day carries on, that fog will burn up after about 8 a.m. and then it's becoming mostly sunny. Temperatures in the low to mid 80s later on this afternoon. So the fog burns up. Later this afternoon, we are in the mid 80s on your way home from work. A beautiful afternoon. It will be rather humid though. Dew point still in the upper 60s. Overnight, you could see a brief thunderstorm roll through the area. Tomorrow still looking mostly sunny. Not as sunny as today, but still pretty sunny. High temperatures in the upper 80s, and it's a similar forecast for Wednesday as well. But then we look at the 7-day forecast, and things change for the second half of the week. We lose the humidity, we lose some of that heat, and things are dry. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, mostly sunny skies. Rather dry, like I said, not as humid, cooler, just really pleasant to get outside, especially that Thursday and Friday. That's when it's looking the driest, the sunniest. Be nice.
Yeah. Going back to that rain, Sean, we actually got an email from a viewer who says he lives in Midway, Iowa. That's halfway between Charles City and Nashua. And he says his rain gauge holds 8 inches and it was over full.
Yeah, I believe it. Again, we saw what the radar was showing us right there, and we just had these storms training over the same area for about 6 hours. It's a good way to get too much rain.
Thanks, Mike, for sending that in.
Thanks.
Well, if you are looking to improve your biking this summer and you want to get outside, you can check out Olmsted County's bike park. Take a look. So the bicycle playground at Silver Lake Park is a safe place for families to practice their skills. It's designed to help people learn basic bike handling and braking skills, become familiar with roadway marking signs, and learn skills related to biking in traffic. According to Olmsted County Public Health, it's the first bicycle playground in the state.
The Stoppel family grounds in Rochester predate Minnesota statehood by at least 2 years. And over the weekend, some people caught a rare glimpse inside the property's cave system. The tour lasted from 1 in the afternoon until 2:30, so about an hour and a half, and explored the historical Stoppel grounds located next to the History Center of Olmsted County. Guiding the tour was cave expert Greg Brick, helping everyone identify key features that make those caves up, such as the St. Peter sandstone. Abby Currier is the community engagement director and also coordinates events there at the History Center, and says her favorite part of the former Stoppel family's property is one of the food preservation caves.
Inside the cave behind me is one of the really coolest aspects, because it's where the local children and the family carve their names into the wall of the caves. And so to be able to see that graffiti, and a lot of them put years on there, so you'll see like 51 or 91, and that's not 1950s, that's 1850s. And I think it's really cool to be able to see that.
The History Center plans to restore most of the Stoppel grounds in the near future. Coming up next, the number of jobs added in America just last month and what that means for investors who are keeping their eyes on new inflation data that's expected this week.
Plus, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos is no longer the world's wealthiest man. Who took over that title next? Investors are keeping their eyes on key inflation data out later this week, with the Consumer Price Index due on Wednesday and the Producer Price Index out on Thursday.
And there's a new world richest person. For those stories and more, here's Diane King Hall with this morning's CBS Money Watch report.
Stocks were mixed on Friday following a strong jobs report. The Dow rallied 144 points, hitting a record high. The Nasdaq lost 59, while the S&P 500 added 7. The U.S. added 943,000 jobs in July, and the unemployment rate dropped from 5.9 to 5.4%. Investors will now keep their eyes on some key inflation data out later this week, with the Consumer Price Index due on Wednesday and the Producer Price Index out Thursday. There's a new world's richest person. Louis Vuitton owner Bernard Arnault passed Jeff Bezos late last week. Forbes says Arnault is worth $197 billion, $4 billion more than the Amazon founder. Tesla's Elon Musk is third at $182 billion. Bezos dropped out of the top spot after shares of Amazon fell 7%. Luxury traveling's largest gathering kicked off in Las Vegas on Sunday. Virtuoso Travel Week is an in-person and virtual conference of several thousand travel advisors and industry professionals. Virtuoso data shows bookings were down 80% in January compared to January of 2019. However, they improved to a decline of just 45% in June compared to June 2019. And that's your CBS Money Watch report. For more, head to CBSMoneyWatch.com. At the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Diane King Hall.
Still ahead, Sturgis is well on its way in South Dakota, hosting thousands of bikers. The concerns health experts have of it possibly becoming a super spreader event.
And a big welcome home for Olympic medal winner and Minnesota native Suni Lee. How her hometown made her return from Tokyo special.
And here's a live look over, you can't really tell, but it's Mason City. Look at all that fog. We're not seeing in Rochester, but parts of the I-35 corridor foggy this morning. I'm tracking that and the sunny day ahead.
I think there's a front light on that app.
On the what?
This morning on Daybreak, a mission several years in the making is finally coming to fruition.
The groundbreaking happening today that'll soon be a home for southeastern Minnesota veterans. Also, the CDC has released some new findings on the protection that COVID-19 vaccines provide for those still on the fence of getting theirs.
And right now,
KIMT News 3, coverage you can count on. This is KIMT News 3's Daybreak, live from our Rochester studio.
Well, that was some sort of start. Wow.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, can you tell it's a Monday? Jeez. Well, good morning to you. I'm Tyler Yutzka.
And I'm Brooke McKibbergan. Thanks so much for joining us here on KIMT News 3's Daybreak.
It is Monday, August 9th, and time now is 5:31. If you're wondering what we're laughing about, I heard some awful screech.
It was so loud
and it
in
made
our
both of us
ISVs.
jump so bad. It is raining in some spots. Actually, I think that rain is now done, but it rained a lot, especially in North Iowa. KIMT Storm Team 3 meteorologist Sean McAday is tracking all of it. Sean, good morning.
good morning, guys. So, yeah, we saw a lot of rain over the weekend in some spots, and we're going to continue to see a little bit of that tomorrow and Wednesday, but today's mostly sunny. But what I do want to show is right now I'm outside. We actually have a rain gauge outside, kind of next to our, let me see if I can turn on the flash. There it is. It's early in the morning, you know, hey, the sun's just now rising, but we did get a lot of rain in some spots. I'm not even showing right now, and I know there's a lot of water here, so you can't see much, but the rain gauge is almost full. That holds about an inch, and that was definitely emptied because I was here earlier on Saturday, and that was already full then. A little bit of fog in some spots. Right now, flash flood warning is in effect in parts of southeast Floyd County. We're going to continue to track that. Otherwise, the rain is going to move out for the rest of the day. I know I'm pretty dark right now. Today, temperatures in the mid-60s this morning. We're tracking some fog along that I-35 corridor. And then we're tracking a much warmer day, mostly sunny skies and high temperatures in the mid-80s.
All right, John, thank you. New for you this morning on Daybreak is the Delta variant spreads rapidly across the U.S. Mayo Clinic doctors are clearing up some misinformation they're hearing about the coronavirus vaccine.
KIMT News 3's Madeline Watkins reports.
Breakthrough infections have gained a lot of attention here lately as the Delta variant is proving to be highly contagious. But if you are fully vaccinated, you are still more than 90% protected against the coronavirus. That's according to Dr. John O'Horo with Mayo Clinic. He says fully vaccinated people do have the potential to transmit COVID-19 to others. However, it's far less likely than unvaccinated people. Data is showing the vaccine is doing its job, and that's preventing severe illness, hospitalizations, and even death. Majority of the COVID-19 patients currently in the hospital are unvaccinated. Dr. O'Horo says that should give you enough reason to get the shot.
What I say to people who are concerned that they can still get infected by the Delta variant even though they're vaccinated is your illness, if you do get infected, is going to be far, far less severe than if you don't get vaccinated. Most people who get the vaccine aren't going to get infected.
Regardless if you're fully vaccinated or not, Dr. O'Horo says wearing a mask indoors and, of course, getting that vaccine if you haven't already are our best chances at beating this pandemic. In Rochester, Madeline Watkins, KIMT News 3.
The CDC reports more than 50% of the U.S. population is now fully vaccinated.
And happening today, Rochester Community and Technical College is partnering with Olmsted County Public Health to offer the COVID-19 vaccine to people who want it. You do have to register ahead of time, though, but Nate Stoltman with the school says if you didn't get to it, there are several other ways that you can get the shot. He says opening up this clinic to the general public instead of just students and staff will help the entire community beat the pandemic.
So on top of the thousands of students that we would see every day, there's hundreds of thousands of more that come on our campus that could potentially expose others to some of these things like COVID, amongst others. So really, it's in everyone's best interest.
He also says if you find yourself on RCTC's campus this fall, make sure you have a mask.
A new study offers more proof of the importance of vaccinations, showing that they can cut the risk of COVID-19 reinfection in half. The research by the CDC shows the vaccine protects better than natural immunity from a previous coronavirus infection. In it, people who got COVID-19 in 2020 and weren't vaccinated afterwards were more likely to be reinfected in May or June of 2021. Researchers say they were more than twice as likely to get sick again compared to people who had COVID but were later on fully vaccinated. It also says they're still trying to find out how strong natural immunity to COVID-19 is and how long it actually lasts.
Happening today, a mission several years in the making to provide a home for southeastern Minnesota veterans that is finally breaking ground at 10 o'clock this morning. Ground will be broken for the Preston Veterans Home Project. Governor Tim Walz, along with area lawmakers, will speak, as well as the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs Commissioner, Deputy Commissioner, and the Preston Veterans Committee co-chair. We'll be at the groundbreaking this morning, so we'll have more coverage for you later on today.
A North Iowa semi-driver was involved in a fatal crash in southeastern Minnesota. According to the Minnesota State Patrol, it happened at around 6:30 on Saturday night on Highway 44 in Houston County. Jacob Schiffner of Prior Lake was driving south in an SUV, and Aaron Surata of Lime Springs was northbound in a semi when they collided near Indian Springs Road. Schiffner was killed and Surata was injured. Road conditions were wet at the time of the crash, and both drivers were wearing their seatbelts.
A trial is scheduled for a fatal summer stabbing in Steele County. Hassan is charged with second-degree murder, assault with a dangerous weapon, and theft for the July 2020 incident. Police were called to Owatonna's Darts Park and found Muhammad lying on the ground with a stab wound to the chest. Muhammad was pronounced dead about a half hour later. Witnesses say that Hassan chased down Muhammad at the park and stabbed him there. Police said they recovered 2 knives at the scene. Hassan's trial is now set to begin in January of next year. Still ahead is back to square one across the Asia-Pacific region. The areas that are once again in lockdown as health systems are pushed to their limits. Plus,
COVID cases are rising in children. I'm Bradley Blackburn with the troubling new numbers and the country that's now opening up to vaccinated Americans.
Here's a live look over a foggy start in Mason City. I'm tracking the fog we're seeing this morning, where it is currently, where it could be in an hour or two, where the rain is going to fall, maybe a little bit Tuesday and Wednesday, and when things get drier.
You're watching KIMT News 3 Daybreak, live from our Rochester studio. News with Tyler Yutzka and Brooke McKibbergan. Tracking storms with Storm Team 3 meteorologist Sean McAday, who has your accurate local forecast every 10 minutes. This is KIMT News 3, local news from your community. We are coverage you can count on.
New COVID infections are averaging averaging more than 100,000 a day, a number that we haven't seen since February. And according to Johns Hopkins University, as of Friday, the 7-day average for deaths rose from about 270 deaths per day 2 weeks ago to nearly 500 a day.
Dr. Anthony Fauci says there won't be a federal vaccine mandate, but he does expect more businesses and schools to implement their own soon. Bradley Blackburn has the latest.
The coronavirus vaccine could be fully approved by the FDA this month.
I don't predict, but I hope that it will be within the next few weeks.
Dr. Anthony Fauci says that could lead to new vaccine requirements at the local level.
That could be colleges, universities, places of business, a whole variety, and I strongly support that. The time has come is we've got to go the extra step to get people vaccinated.
About 50% of Americans are fully vaccinated.
No, mandates have got to go.
These nurses in North Texas protested an order by their hospitals, get the shots or lose your job.
I'm not here to say that you should get the vaccine or that you shouldn't get the vaccine, but that you should have a choice.
Children under 12 are still not eligible for the vaccines. Pediatric cases in the U.S. are soaring just as school starts back up. Nearly 20% of cases in the last week of July were kids.
I feel safer. That's like one of the main reasons I want it.
Adrian Cecido is about to begin 9th grade. He was one of 100 people at this vaccine pop-up clinic in Compton.
I want to be prepared and stay in school.
The jab is mandatory for those traveling north. After 16 months, Canada reopened its border to vaccinated Americans this morning.
It's really encouraging that we're going to be able to see our American neighbors, friends, and in many cases, family members come back to our community.
Canadians can start visiting the U.S. on August 21st. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
Americans will also need a negative COVID test before traveling to Canada, and children under 12 will be able to visit if they're with a vaccinated adult.
Dr. Anthony Fauci says he's in favor of mandating COVID-19 vaccinations for U.S. healthcare workers. On Sunday, Dr. Fauci expressed surprise that some hospital employees were refusing vaccinations. Fauci explained that immunization requirements in the healthcare sector aren't anything new.
It's inexplicable to me. You are a healthcare worker, your profession, the thing you've devoted your life to is to protect people, to make them well, to protect them from disease. I'm very much in favor of mandating if you want to see patients and you want to participate in healthcare, you need to get vaccinated, period.
Fauci said that as a doctor who still sees patients at the NIH Clinical Center, he's not allowed to do so unless he gets the annual flu vaccine. Well, he doesn't believe that requiring the COVID-19 vaccine would be any different.
Across the Asia-Pacific region, many people are back in lockdown and health systems are being pushed to their limits due to the Delta variant. Cities in China have rolled out mass testing and imposed strict lockdowns while COVID cases continue to rise. On Monday, the country reported 125 new infections across 4 provinces, most of them locally transmitted. In the capital, Beijing, restrictions have been put in place to try and contain the outbreak, including extra screening procedures for people traveling to the city. China currently has 14 high-risk areas. That's according to the country's health commission.
It is now 5:44 on this Monday. It's going to be a beautiful day.
Yeah, currently still a bit foggy out there. Sean's tracking it.
Yeah, so we're going to see some fog in some spots this morning. It's probably not going to burn off until after 8 a.m. where you are seeing that fog. And then it's becoming mostly sunny. Today's pretty nice to get outside, but it's a little bit more humid and hot as we work into Tuesday and Wednesday.
Good morning. It is 5:48 on this Monday, and while we were in some dire need of rain, we got a little bit too much overnight.
Yeah, it came hard and fast, didn't it, Sean?
Yeah, and it really depends on where you are, but some parts of Floyd County, Chickasaw County, North Iowa, seeing way too much rain. Other parts of the area saw too much rain. La Crosse, Wisconsin, for example, 6 inches, the most they've ever received, ever in a single day, ever on record. Not a summer day, not August, whatever it was, 7th or something, no, any day ever. So we had a lot of rain in some spots over the weekend, and overnight, it was Floyd County's turn. South of Charles City, east of Marble Rock, and also a little bit towards New Hampton. That's where we have that flash flood warning in effect. And right now, we are seeing some crazy rainfall reports. This is from the radar, so these aren't confirmed from the National Weather Service, although we do have some reports similar to this towards 8 inches south of Charles City. You look towards Charles City, we're seeing, this shows around 3 inches. You get the idea. We saw a lot of rain overnight in some spots, and there are confirmed reports of some flooding, of some impassable roadways. Turn around, don't drown, right? I do want to zoom out and kind of get a sense of what we're seeing across the rest of the area. So let's see if that'll help. All right, so let's try and get a better sense of what we're seeing across the area, and we should be able to see. This is just since really yesterday afternoon. A lot of that rain fell in parts of really far northeast Iowa, also a little bit towards parts of southeast Minnesota. Rochester saw some decent rain overnight as well, over ½ an inch, and we saw a lot more on Saturday when it was about 2 inches or 3 inches in Rochester. So we've had a lot of rain over this weekend. Today, we get a break from that rain, which actually is not too bad. Also, real quick, I didn't show it, but here's that flash flood warning still in effect for the next 15 minutes south of Charles City, east of Marble Rock. So temperatures this morning are in the mid-60s. Let's take that away. That's kind of covering our view, right? Owatonna, Dodge County, 66 degrees. In Mason City, 68 degrees. The other thing I'm tracking this morning, aside from that rain, is fog. It is foggy, kind of near that I-35 corridor in west Mason City, Albert Lee, Dodge County, Austin. Look at Mason City. You can't see it. It's gone. It's there's too much fog. Rochester, we're not seeing that fog as much, although it is still plenty humid. Dew point at 66, temperatures in the mid-60s, a warm start to the day. As we carry on into the afternoon, it becomes mostly sunny. The fog does lift after about 8 a.m. where we are currently seeing the fog. High temperatures in the low to mid-80s. And there's still a little bit more rain on tap. Maybe Tuesday night, Wednesday night, we see a little bit more in the forecast before things become dry. Here's a look at the 7-day forecast. Tuesday, Wednesday, very hot, very humid, high temperatures in the upper 80s. That'll push the feels like temperature towards the low 90s. The heat index, get a couple chances for some thunderstorms, and then that's it. Kind of looks like things dry out after that through the weekend.
Yeah, the humidity is definitely back. You'll notice that for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Sean.